In the last video I made these plywood shelves and I had quite a bit of plywood left over, and sheets of plywood is not something you want to move more than once. So today we're going to build this simple plywood storage system which has some interesting features. You notice these holes along each side allows you to pull this shelf on retractable wheels from either end. There's the wheels down there. The wheels are also lockable, so when you pull a piece of plywood out, the whole thing doesn't want to move. And I chose to build mine approximately 3 foot wide by 3 foot deep to store the 4 by 8 foot sheets upright. I figured if it was any bigger than that, it'd probably be too heavy or too wide to move around the shop anyway. The uprights are approximately 5 feet tall. And you can see it's divided into 3 sections. The middle section is where your longest and heaviest pieces will go, so that they'll stay as upright as possible without falling over, and also cause a better center of gravity to keep the whole thing from tipping over. These access holes serve two purposes. You can put your hand in there to move the entire cart, or when it's stationary you can thread rope, a link of chain or bungee cords to hold your stock together so it's sturdy. Okay, to start off with, I have a piece of 3/4 inch plywood that's 3 feet by 3 feet, and then I have 4 pieces of 2 by 4s spread equal distance apart, and I'll put about 6 screws in each of them for underneath. Now I changed my mind, so I'll make the middle pieces about 6 inches apart so it'll hold the biggest sheets upright and not slanted too much, and hopefully have better center of gravity. Now before it gets too heavy to work with, we're going to put the casters on early on in the show, and we will measure over about 1 inch, and I'm using these sort of casters here. 2 of them have locks, so you want it to be able to overhang enough that you can activate this with your foot. And since these are swiveling casters, you'll notice this has flats on it, so you need a long, or a very large but very thin wrench to hold them still while you bolt it down tight. Now this is what I meant by a very big but very thin wrench. So if you don't have one, when they're not easy to come by, you might want to consider from the get-go to use a more easy to work with caster. Now that the rollers are in place, we'll start building upwards. To make their finger grip holes, I'm going to put 4 holes shown here, 1.5 inches in, 1.5 inches apart, and I'll drill through until this point just pokes through to the other side, and then I'll come through the other side and drill that way, and that prevents split out. And we end up with something like that, and we'll use some sandpaper to smooth out the edges so we don't give ourselves splinters.